Hey friends, my name is Caveman. This is Sky Harbor Studios and welcome back to my YouTube channel. One of the main reasons why I started this channel is because I've been an audio engineer for over 10 years now. And over the last 10 years, I get a lot of questions from the production recording stage all the way to mastering and release. And the goal for this channel is to put out content such as this to add value and really help demystify a lot of the things that surround audio engineering in particular, the technicalities. So without further ado, let's jump onto the computer and let me show you what today's program is going to be about. This is something that I've been working on for a little over a year, and I wanted to find something that was A, free of charge, and 2, educational, so that you guys can get a feel of what mastering actually is and what mastering actually does. So what if I told you that there is a way of previewing your work and get some insight as to what the final product may sound like after you send it for mastering? And no, I'm not talking about Lander or those kind of platforms. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So the plugin that we're going to be talking about today is by a company called Tokyo Dawn Records. I'm going to leave the link down in the description below so that you can download your own copy free of charge. They do have a paid version, but the version we're going with is the free one. So this is what the plugin looks like. As you can see down here, it says Tokyo Dawn Records, Kotelnikov. I don't know if I said that right. I apologize if I didn't. But for those of you who are not familiar with this plugin, I would take a screenshot of what you see right here, copy and paste these settings onto your instance of Kotelnikov. But before you begin doing that, go up to this gear icon right here. I want you to click on it, go down to processing, and here you will see a checkbox called highest quality rendering. By default, it's not checked, probably for DSP purposes. For mastering instance, we don't use a lot of plugins. We try to keep the signal as pure as possible, so it's okay to go ahead and keep that checked. As a forewarning, this is just a starting point. This is not going to be the all-in-one fix, but at least it will give you a very good sense of what mastering does and give you a little bit of training and practice. The purpose of a mastering compressor is not to add color or to change the program material too much. It is more to restore balance to the overall spectrum. If there's too much low end, if there's not enough mids, maybe gain a little bit of clarity in the process in the most transparent way possible. And then you can always add your own coloring plugins or coloring hardware if you'd like. But for the most part, mastering compressors are very transparent. So I found a few program materials here for us to demo with. One of which has vocals. The other one has a lot of heavy sustain elements and heavy transients. And then the other one is more quick on its feet. The other thing about mastering processors is that we don't have a plethora of gear that we use. We tend to stick to a few pieces and use those few pieces on all sorts of program material, making mastering processors very transparent, very subtle, but very versatile at the same time. So the first song is by an artist called Chabot. This is a song that I'm going to be mastering for him. But as a starting point, I wanted to demo this plugin for you guys. So let's go ahead, play the song, and then I'm going to show you how I use this plugin. Plugin and bypass, this is what the song sounds like.
But I would never feel, 'cause I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am sweet on you, I can hardly talk. I need some surgery to get my heart to stop.
So right off the bat, I can tell that the bottom end is very heavy. The hi-hats are a little bit brash, so I like to take a look at smoothing those out. And the center is a little bit loose. So one cool thing about this plugin is that right up here where it says A to B, if you click that, what it's gonna do is apply it to the secondary slot. So say, for example, if I change settings in A and I go to B, that was what the settings was. And then if I like this setting better, I hit A to B, and now both slots are going to have the same settings. But back to starting point, this is what the plugin sounds like.
But I would never feel, 'cause I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am sweet on you, I can hardly talk. I need some surgery to get my heart to stop.
something I wanted to draw your attention to is the overall volume does not change. A lot of times when we apply processing, the gain staging may be a little bit off. Obviously, our ears have been designed to think that louder is better. So very, very important is to level match, so then your ears are not tricked, but to rather hear exactly what the processor is doing. So check out the meters down here as I engage and disengage said plugin.
But I would never feel, 'cause I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am sweet on you, I can hardly talk.
So right away, I can hear that the kick has become rounder. I can actually hear the shape of it. The vocals popped out and there's actually a depth. You can actually hear what's going on in the background. The hi-hats are still bright, but they're not as brash. Let's go and start pushing this processor. I have made these settings simple enough that all that you should have to do is to turn the threshold knob up until you see about 1 to 2 decibels of gain reduction. But most importantly, use your ears.
But I would never feel, 'cause I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am.
So that sounds good. I'm gonna copy it over to B slot and keep going.
Sweet on you, I can hardly talk. I need some surgery to get.
Ooh, that's a nice sweet spot. So if I hit AB here, you see, it goes between the two settings. What we're gonna listen to is the vocals and the sides. Does it collapse? Does it remain open? But most importantly, if there's vocals in a song, you wanna be able to draw all your attention to it, because you could have the best sounding instrumental. If your vocals is shite, your song is shite. It doesn't matter.
But I would never feel, 'cause I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am sweet on you.
So I like -18. That's the sweet spot to my ears. As you can hear, there's the depth. You can actually hear what's going on in the background. The vocals pop out, and I can also hear, if you listen to the guitar in the background, it also brings that to focus as well. This is it in bypass.
I am sweet on you. I never knew I could find a lady, make my eyes dilate like you. I am sweet on you. I can hardly talk. I need some surgery to get my heart to stop.
It also brought out the edge of the kick drum and tightened up the bottom end. So yeah, essentially this is what a mastering compressor should do. Obviously you can add color to it. Some of them have options to add color, but generally this is what a mastering processor does. So what I'm gonna do now is run through the next 2 songs. I'm not going to talk as much, so more doing, less talking. Start with the plugin in bypass. Here we go. So very heavy hitting, lots of sustain. Let's see what it does. So right away, you can hear that whatever's going on here with my settings really opens up the song, brings clarity to the sides, opens up the space, tightens up the bottom end, strengthens the center, that kind of thing you guys already know. So let's go ahead and start pushing the threshold knob, again, to about 1 dB, 2 dB of gain reduction. Again, you don't always have to do it. It sounds pretty good to me right now, but I just like to push the threshold knob just to see if it does become better. If not, I'll just revert back to the original. that's a sweet spot to my ears currently. I'm not even paying attention to how much gain reduction we're doing. Let's see. So we're doing close to one, maybe like half a dB, 1 dB of gain reduction, which is pretty much mastering. You're doing things in increments of half or 1 dB. It really helps that the song is mixed really well, because I made it, ha ha ha. But anyway, that being said, let's move on to the next one. Again, Caveman starting point in bypass. So when I made this song, I really wanted to pay attention to space. So let's hear what this plugin does. Pay attention to the chimes and the bells on the side. That's how you would be able to tell if it's bringing out space. Now, I don't know if you guys are listening to this on speakers or headphones. I would recommend speakers because this is a pretty big difference. And right off the bat, I think this is going to be my settings. But again, let's push the threshold just to see what it does and then go from there. So right away, you can hear that it's losing transients. So I'm going to back it off by 1 dB of threshold. In mastering, there's a lot of bypassing. So AB, AB, bypass, bypass, so on and so forth. So there's a mastering tip for you. And make moves in half and 1 dB increments, never more. If you're doing it, probably chances are you need to go back to the mix stage and work something out. No, I like the Caveman starting point. I'm sorry. But this is going to be where my final settings are at. It just makes things more 3D. There's a depth to it. You feel immersed in the sound as compared to when I take it out. The mix folds back. And that's it for today, guys. I really hope that you found this insightful. I hope that you find this useful in your productions. And if you have any songs that you find you're not able to push and get the volume that you want, try placing this right before your limiter, putting the Caveman starting point, and see if that helps you, squeeze a few more dB. If you like content like this, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for every time we release free content like this that could potentially be a game changer for you. And hopefully, we'll see you on the next one. Caveman out.